We are 2 weeks into Advent, and there are 2 weeks left to go until Christmas. Christmas can be a difficult time of year, especially for those of us who are LGBT+. This period of anticipation can often be a period of dread. People expect cards and presents, but money is tight and time is short. Family can make all sorts of demands on you, especially if going home means re-entering the closet. And of course, for many, the season's celebrations are now pierced with the knowledge of loved ones and friends no longer there. These things may overwhelm us, making us feel powerless as we are swept along in other people's expectations. It can be hard to find hope in the middle of it all, even if we so dearly long for it. Today we are reading the Magnificat, Mary's rebellious song, which she sings in response to the angel Gabriel telling her she will bear God's son. We find it recorded in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 46 to 55. This song has always been a pillar of Christian worship, sung on a daily basis in liturgical services around the world. In it, Mary proclaims God's grace, mercy, strength, and abiding preference for the marginalized, the forgotten, and the outcast. God chooses Mary, a working-class teenager with no power or privilege, to be the mother of his son. As she says, he has looked with favor on the lowly state of his servant. Mary is not yet married and therefore not only yet to be established in her culture or society, but also at real risk of losing the little she has and being cast out. She has no position or heritage in religious institutions, nor in political ones. God chooses this young woman through whom to set the entire world on its head. The Nativity story is full of those with privilege and power, kings, priests, wise sages from abroad. But this place of honor goes instead to a young woman at home in Nazareth. When you feel small, know that God sees you. When you feel others' contempt for who you are and what you believe, know that God looks with favor upon you. God's heart is for the marginalized, the forgotten and the outcast, the lonely, the outnumbered, the overpowered and the powerless. God chooses this young woman of no status, and she declares the truth. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. God does what only God can do and turns society on its head. Mary rejoices when she hears the angel's promise, as she becomes pregnant with the prophesied Saviour of Israel. Nevertheless, she still has to wait. It will be 9 months before the child is born. 9 months of back pain, sickness, swelling, and fatigue. And then Mary will still have 3 decades of weaning, teaching, and protecting her son before he begins to do any of this saviour stuff she was promised. Sometimes it must have felt as if God had done nothing at all. Sometimes it feels like God does not keep his promises, because we don't see anything happening. Queer folk are certainly used to this feeling of anxiety, waiting and unfulfilled promise, waiting for the church to recognise God's blessing, wondering if it ever will. But at this moment, in her song, Mary recognises that this declaration from the angel is the fulfilment of generations of waiting on God's promise. He has come to the aid of his child Israel in remembrance of his mercy, she says, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever. God is faithful, even when it doesn't feel like it. God remembers their promises and their people. It is the middle of Advent. Christmas is in 2 weeks. We may feel far more dread than hope at the thought of so many demands and expectations crowding in on us. Mary knew what it was to feel discomfort in the waiting. The Mother of God was not immune from morning sickness. But her rebellious, hopeful song celebrates God's heart for the least of us and God's promise to change the world.